So, Valéria Csépe, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you.
I have so long been waiting for getting you into the podcast because you are one of the big figures in combining neuroscience and actual educational reforms.
Yes.
So it's wonderful to have you here. You are here because of the Symposium and your talk is tomorrow. But today we are going to talk a little bit about how you have been involved in this business, which is trying to deliver the information from neuroscience to actual educational sciences.
Thank you very much. I come always happily to Helsinki.
Great to have you here.
Yeah, so there are many decades behind, yeah.
Yes, we go way back.
Yeah.
You have been studying language learning and also individuals who have problems in language learning. And this is an issue that really requires help in schools today. So this is what teachers are struggling with, and also the school psychologist is struggling with this problem. And people are looking at neuroscience like, okay, the answer should be there in the field of neuroscience. So how do you see this connection? How can neuroscience help?
Actually, we can combine the two if we are aware of the fact that it doesn't go very quickly. And we have to be very conscious. I mean, how to translate, what is the translation or part, because most of us are working in the basic research and fiddling around with our data, and we try to repeat it and so to check how reliable our data are.
Yes.
Before we speak with teachers and start to work together how to use it in schools, in education, because it's their responsibility. It's not enough just to give advices and so then they go on their own, or I do interfere with their task, what is actually the teacher's responsibility. And it's not so easy because of two reasons. There is what I call in the word the so-called brain business. So that is everything, there is a source like neuroscience on everything, even if there are no reliable data behind. And the other one is that how we understand development, typical and atypical development. What do we see in the classroom for these kids, especially when we do speak about inclusion. And the other one is a problem in many countries, and the teachers struggle with, as you mentioned, language learning, so first native language and also the foreign language. What is very important in countries like Finland and Hungary, so we can't expect that too many people are going to speak our language.
Oh yes, we are only 5 million Finnish speakers, and you are
and
only
9.5.
Yeah,
9.5, somewhat more.
Yeah, so it's approximately the same size of population compared to the big languages in the world.
Yeah, indeed.
Yes.
And that's a problem. And what I see, for example, and so we try to provide data and usable models for the school practice for foreign language teachers. Because in my country is still a traditional approach that the foreign language is vocabulary plus grammar.
Yes.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It works on the sentence level.
Yeah.
It works in the daily life. It works in panels. And it's very important. They focus a lot on the pronunciation in the sense and how well the different consonants and vowels are pronounced. And my recent love is actually language prosody. So the stress pattern of a
yes.
language, and we have a lot of common again, because in our languages there is a rule. Actually, it's a rule application what we use in our language. The first syllable stress.
Yes.
But not in English, and not in other language, not in Russian. It's moving. These are the so-called stress-timed languages, and it's difficult. And the other one, how do we produce this prominent feature of our language? It's just changing the duration. It doesn't work for all languages because the vowel duration differentiates for meaning.
Yes.
And not pitch. So then, and what else? It's very complex, but duration doesn't work. And in many languages, duration is the one. My English speaking colleagues used to ask, how do you do this, that you have a long vowel as stressed?
Yes.
And long vowel as not stressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, then so we can't do this.
Yeah.
Because
they are combined in their
languages. They are combining.
And it's very typical.
And that's why we developed recently a training for babies, especially for preterm babies, where the last period is missing. So because in the third trimester they are hearing already.
Oh yes.
And the suprasegmental feature is coming through, and of course our emotional prosody is coming through. So that's how in early education we can use what we have data, confirmed data many times, remeasured not only by us, by other laboratories, because replicability is a very important issue before you, in quotation marks, going to sell it.
Yeah, exactly. So it is a bridge to build between the neuroscience data and then the practices in the schools. And you have been involved in many levels. So you have been in connection with the teachers, actually letting them use the information, but you have also been involved in the national level, looking at the school reforms.
Yes, indeed. And there is something, what is a change in foreign language teaching and also in natural sciences, especially based on our knowledge, the constructive nature of memory.
Yes.
So how a new information can be built into what you have in your memory, or reorganize, restructure the memory, because in natural science doesn't help just to have the common sense. And sometimes even against common sense, but we learn what it was done there. And the other part, I'm very proud of it, the so-called the subject digital culture. So not just informatics, and how they can introduce in our schools already in the third grade. The different part of algorithms, the way of different number systems, not only the decimal, etc. Because the brain and the procedure is very flexible in this age. Not everything went through, but quite a lot. And so there are how many debates are around this. But what is very interesting, and I know only one example for this combination, neuroscience and education, and it's in Cambridge. It was funded by a very good friend and colleague of mine, Usha Goswami, and the Center for Neuroscience in Education. So the vice director is a former PhD student of mine.
Okay, yes.
So it's even another impact on education is to establish a so-called school around you and in the laboratory to get new ideas about Utyo. His name is Dana Such. His studies are focusing on the mathematical thinking and development, so not on reading as or common field with him was together, but I still keep the dyslexia studies and this is how to use it in the new methods in reading acquisition.
Oh, yes, yes. So this is a change that has happened. If I look at, for example, the Finnish school system, my parents, they were born in the 40s, so they went to school in the 50s. And at that time, it was the same teaching to everybody. Yep. If it didn't work for you, you were called a stupid person or
indeed.
You know.
Indeed.
But then we became aware of things that are affecting people's learning, things that are related to dyslexia, for example, but also things that are related to attention and so on. And now I think that we have approached the situation where we understand that actually everybody's learning is slightly different. Yes, so dyslexia is not on and off. Attention problems, it's not on and off, but we all sometimes suffer from some form of attention problem, and we all also have our own strengths in maintaining our attention. So we are painfully aware of the differences between the different pupils in the classroom, but only one teacher. So how can that teacher actually teach any longer? Because isn't it like frustrating that you know more and more about the fine details about how this person differs from the mean, and then this other person differs from the mean, and then actually you can't accommodate your teaching to specifically, individually to every pupil in the classroom?
Actually, I think that teachers shouldn't be that much frustrated. So they do not need to have an expertise in detail because there is a huge diversity. It's a biological system behind called human brain, but so they have to be aware and have to be able to recognize when something is wrong and look for an expert, because the expert can advise them how to use this in their teaching. And there is what we call, and it's a movement of parents, basically coming from parents of children of autism spectrum disorder, called neurodiversity.
Yeah.
And basically we have the same brain or similar brain, it's just similar. And so we know more and more about what is typical and what is atypical. But by at the end, we see that everybody is atypical. Not. So our view is different, so the days are different. But teachers have a task whether they can use different methods to help children in reading acquisition, what their main problems can be, whether it's in the auditory domain or in the visual domain, or different, or there are delays in the language development. So I used already 3 different categories, and there are more than that.
Yes, exactly.
And our view on this, fortunately, changes. When I went to primary school, those children, so they couldn't acquire reading and get to a certain level of comprehension, they were seen as stupid. We don't see them stupid. And where does it come from? Because for many people, fortunately, to acquire reading is easy. And those people who can't learn something what is easy, what are they? Stupid. And it has changed.
It has.
And it's changing for ADHD, it changes for autism spectrum disorder, especially for the high functioning ones, etc. But if you want to have inclusion in our schools, our teachers have to have more knowledge, but not on that they have to diagnose. Please do not diagnose. Just be aware of the signs of an atypical development.
Yes. The name of this symposium is Neurodynamics of Language and Music, and music is one example of a method of teaching. Of course, it's a school subject, but it is also a method of teaching, especially languages. So do you see the value of music in learning native language, especially when there is a problem in learning and also learning foreign languages?
Yes, I see it. It's very important. So the music is really so-called brain shiner because they have a lot of common. So the music is better tuned than language, so the language can be sort of not so well defined. Something is very important when we have, for example, speech sound categories. They are a bunch of vowels or consonants because they change at least their acoustic attributes in the different words, whether they are at the beginning or in the middle of a word, what are the consonants around the vowel. But from this point of view, so there is a shared dynamics between music and language, and they even rely on the functions of the same pathways in the human brain, differently tuned. But for example, when we do speak, we spoke about rhythm, because the word level, stress, and prosody gives the rhythm of the language or the music of the language.
Yes.
And from this point of view, what they share, what is a beat-based rhythm or what is a complex rhythmic rhythm, so the more music, so it's very important, and so that we have to know about it. And when we see the differences, there are some excellent studies nowadays, even about the genetic background of the development of these pathways and how they get differentiated. And it starts very early in the subcortical structures, where we start to analyze, our neurons start to analyze, to process the different sounds on the basic level, and then on a larger pattern, then the envelope of music. And we developed in Hungary, I have a very talented colleague, his name is Ferenc Hombolygo, so he's the other very talented former PhD student of mine, and they developed a training especially for children with developmental reading disorder, and it's music.
Yeah.
And there is something other very important component, the motor component, music and dance.
Oh yes, that sounds amazing. So for a teacher, that would be a very basic way of applying neuroscientific knowledge, to use musical and dance-related and clapping and all that kind of methods in the native language teaching and also in foreign language teaching.
Yeah, and I used to tell teachers, how do we show the effect, like carpet cleaner advertisement. That's how it was before, and that's how it's after.
Yes.
And we use the neuroscience methods for showing this. Yeah.
Thank you for this interview, and thank you for coming to Helsinki. And I really want to continue the nice collaboration with you, with Helsinki and Budapest together.
Thank you. It's always my pleasure.
Thank you.